You stand on this, the role of the police? Are there boundaries to this? Your thoughts?
Well, two things. One, it's absolutely true the police are constantly called to deal with mental health problems. And the reason for this actually goes back to our old friend Enoch Powell, who, when he was Minister for Health, destroyed the residential mental hospitals of this country, many of which survive as extremely expensive blocks of flats and housing, which were utterly wiped out in favour of supposed care in the community, which is neither care nor in the community, which basically means abandoning mentally ill people in bedsits while they are expected to take, in many cases, quite powerful psychotropic drugs, which many of them don't take. Consequence is that somebody has to pick up the pieces when this goes wrong, and the police are, and indeed the prisons, have a terrible time picking up the pieces from this. There's no question of it. But it's not really the central problem with the police. The central problem with the police, I mean, we could resolve that by deciding that we were going to actually rebuild, as we ought to do, in my view, the mental hospital system, so people have the residential care, which so many of them very badly need. And what we also need to do is to actually prosecute people for the possession of the drugs, which in many cases lead to them becoming mentally ill, which is one of the reasons why mental illness is such a huge problem among us. But the police themselves are wholly and utterly misaligned for the job which they're supposed to do. They were hired originally and used to do the job of patrolling the streets preventively to stop crime and disorder from happening, and they have stopped doing that. They've closed the police stations in which they were based while they did it, and they have become a reactive fire brigade type service which waits for crime and disorder to happen and then rushes to the spot. Completely useless, incredibly heavy on manpower. They have many, many more police officers now than they had in the 1960s when they did the job properly. They have vast budgets. They have huge numbers of white-collar staff backing them up, but they still can't do it, and they never can do it, because if you follow reactive fire brigade policing, crime will exponentially increase and you will never catch up with it, and you won't be able to look after the mentally ill either. It's very simple, and the police refuse to pay any attention to it, and the Home Office refuses to pay any attention to it as well, and eventually it will collapse. My argument is we should close down the existing police and start new ones. Proper local responsive police forces which actually do the job which Robert Peel originally set out for them to do. The police are a vast, failed, nationalised industry which has not for years done the job that it's supposed to do. The criminals are neither arrested nor prosecuted, and the work is simply not being done. And the police are utterly resistant whenever this is put before them. They make excuses for it, but the fact is that the public are beginning to realise that they're being severely let down.